Hey there, folks. Tonight, I'm sharing a tale that's haunted me for years. Imagine being completely paralyzed, unable to scream, unable to move, while a dark presence looms over you. Yeah, this is my story. It started on a cold winter night. I was dead tired, the kind of tired that makes your bones ache and your mind foggy. I collapsed into bed, thinking I'd fall into a dreamless sleep. Boy, was I wrong. The first thing I remember was waking up in the dead of night. My eyes fluttered open, but my body was like a stone. I couldn't move an inch. Sleep paralysis, I thought, trying to calm my racing heart. But then, I felt it. A presence. Something cold and dark filled the room. My eyes darted around, searching the shadows. And that's when I saw it. At the foot of my bed stood a figure, cloaked in darkness. Its eyes glowed a sinister red, piercing through the night. The air grew thick, and it felt like every breath was a struggle. I wanted to scream, but my lips were sealed. I wanted to run, but my legs were lead. The figure moved closer, its footsteps eerily silent. My heart pounded louder, like a drum of doom echoing in my chest. It leaned over me, its face inches from mine. I could feel its icy breath on my skin. "You're mine," it whispered, its voice a chilling hiss. My mind screamed in terror, but my body betrayed me. Suddenly, I was a kid again, trapped in a dark room after a power outage. The same fear, the same helplessness. The figure wrapped its cold fingers around my neck, and I felt the life being drained out of me. My vision blurred, and darkness closed in. Just when I thought it was over, I jolted awake. The room was just as I left it, the shadows now harmless. But the terror lingered, a reminder of what I'd just experienced. They say sleep paralysis is just your brain playing tricks on you. But I don't know, man. That night felt too real, too terrifying to be a mere illusion. And sometimes, late at night, I still feel that presence lurking in the shadows, waiting. So, next time you find yourself paralyzed in the dead of night, remember this story. Because you never know what might be lurking in the darkness. Stay safe and sleep tight.
A simple dare led us to an abandoned house. We were bored and looking for a thrill. Billy dared me. I felt uneasy. Everyone knew about the old house on Harbinger Lane, the one with the overgrown lawn and boarded-up windows, the one everyone whispered was haunted. Chicken? Billy grinned. I shifted my weight on the gravel driveway. The woods loomed dark and silent. "Fine," I muttered. "But if anything grabs me, you owe me $5. Billy laughed and shoved me towards the darkness. The air felt heavy as I pushed through the branches, each step a struggle. My heart pounded, echoing in the silence. The setting sun cast long shadows that seemed to move with the light. The woods were silent. No birds, no rustling leaves, just my breath. A twig snapped under my foot, and I flinched, turning to face the darkness. There was nothing there, just the wind whispering through the trees. I told myself that, tried to believe it. But a shiver ran down my spine, a reminder that the forest held secrets. The trees thinned and I stumbled into a clearing. The house stood before me, dark and imposing. It was a Victorian mansion now decaying. Paint peeled from its walls, revealing rotting wood. The windows, dark and vacant, stared back at me. I could feel their gaze. A shiver ran down my spine. The air felt heavy and oppressive. I could almost taste it, metallic and cold. Taking a deep breath, I walked towards the house, feeling a chill. The air was silent, broken only by the rustle of leaves. Each step echoed louder, the wooden boards groaning under my feet. As I climbed the porch steps, I saw a child's doll on the floorboards. It seemed out of place. The doll's face was cracked, one eye hanging out. It seemed to be watching me. Its smile was twisted and unsettling. The longer I looked, the more disturbing it became. A wave of unease washed over me. My heart pounded, and the hairs on my neck stood up. I kicked the doll, sending it skittering across the porch. The sound echoed in the stillness. It landed with a thud against the front door, the noise lingering in the air. The doorknob was cold and damp. It turned with a grating sound. The door creaked open, revealing darkness. The stench hit me. The air was thick with decay and something sweet. It smelled like death. I hesitated, but then I remembered Billy's laughter. I couldn't let him win. Steeling myself, I stepped across the threshold. The darkness was absolute, swallowing everything. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers trembling. The weak light barely pierced the gloom, casting eerie shadows. Dust motes floated in the air like tiny stars. I took a step forward, my heart pounding. Something crunched under my foot, echoing in the silence. I froze, aiming the light downward. It was a photograph, yellowed and curled with age. I bent down to pick it up, my breath catching. It was a family portrait, frozen in time. A man, a woman, and a little girl all smiling, but their eyes were black and empty, like the house. They stared directly at me, sending chills down my spine. A cold hand closed around my wrist. I screamed, the sound echoing in the darkness. My scream faded into silence, and suddenly a burst of laughter filled the air. I turned around, my heart still racing, and saw my friend crouched in the corner, tears streaming down his face from laughing so hard. "Gotcha!" he exclaimed, barely able to speak through his chuckles. I stood there, a mix of relief and embarrassment washing over me. The fear that had gripped my heart moments ago now seemed almost silly, but as I looked at the photograph in my hand, I couldn't help but feel a strange sense of appreciation for the thrill of the unknown. In that moment, I realized that sometimes it's the fear and the mystery that make life exciting. The prank may have ended, but the memory of that night would stay with me forever, a reminder of the adrenaline rush that comes from stepping into the darkness, not knowing what lies ahead. With a shaky laugh, I joined my friend, savoring the mix of emotions that only an adventure like this could bring. And as we walked out of the house together, I knew one thing for certain: the unknown, with all its terrors, was something I would always be drawn to.
I woke up with a jolt. Something felt wrong. Really wrong. The house was too quiet. Mom? Dad? My voice echoed in the stillness. No answer. Where was everyone? I threw back the covers and climbed out of bed. The hardwood floor was cold under my feet. Each step seemed to get swallowed by the silence. Something was definitely off. I could feel it in the pit of my stomach. The house was usually filled with noise. Mom bustling in the kitchen, Dad whistling along to the radio, my little sister giggling at her cartoons. But today, nothing. I walked down the hallway, each creaking floorboard making me jump. The air felt heavy, like something was pressing down on me. I peeked into my sister's room. Empty. Her teddy bear lay abandoned on the floor, which was unusual. She never went anywhere without it. My heart started to race. Where could they be? I checked every room. My parents' room, the bathroom, even the creepy storage closet under the stairs. Empty. My mind raced with possibilities. Did they go out for breakfast and forget to wake me up? But Mom always left a note. I scanned the kitchen table. No note, no breakfast dishes, just cold, empty space. Panic started to creep in. This wasn't like them, not at all. Suddenly, I heard a noise. A faint scratching sound coming from downstairs. My blood ran cold. I crept towards the basement door, each step heavy with dread. The doorknob was ice cold to the touch. Taking a deep breath, I slowly opened the door. The steps groaned under my weight as I descended into the darkness. Every shadow seemed to move, every whisper of wind sounded like a voice. But the basement was empty. Or was it? As my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I noticed something on the floor. A piece of paper. I picked it up, my hands trembling. It was a note scribbled in my dad's handwriting. David, it read, "Don't worry. We had to leave quickly. Be back soon. Love, Dad." Relief washed over me. They were okay. But why did they leave so suddenly? And where did they go? The note brought a sliver of hope, but also more questions. Why hadn't they called? What was so urgent that they had to leave without explanation? I raced back upstairs, my mind buzzing. I had to find out what was going on. I had to find my family. I grabbed my phone, but the battery was dead. Of course. I searched frantically for my charger, finally finding it tangled in a knot under my bed. My heart pounded in my chest as I remembered my dad's words. "David, it's me. Listen carefully. We're safe, but we can't come home right now. Don't tell anyone where we are. We'll explain everything soon, I promise." The memory left me with more questions than answers. Suddenly I woke up, heart racing. It was all just a nightmare. My family was fine. They were right here with me, safe and sound. I held them close, grateful for their presence. The nightmare was over, and we were together.